Today we are continuing with the November 24 paper 1 variant 1, and we are moving on to the summary task. So here's text B. Zoom out a bit. Can I fit the whole thing on screen? I can't. To zoom out even further. So I'll just zoom in. Right, so text B is titled Volunteering to Work with Animals. In this online article, a conservation expert gives his opinion on animal sanctuaries, places that take care of animals, and on volunteering to work with them. Right, so here's part. Will this fit in two parts? Yeah, it will. Okay, so here's half the text. Right, go ahead, take a read when you're done. Right, I'll scroll to the next part. Here's the next part. Is there anything on the next page? No, it's blank. So, yeah, there you go. Okay, so obviously we'll need to go through the text once again, but this time with the question in mind. Here's the question. Summarize the arguments against volunteering to work with animals according to text B. Right? Arguments against volunteering to work with animals. And I'll give you a heads up that there are 13 points in the mark scheme. Right? Again, obviously you need 10, but let's try to find all of them. So going back to the text, right? Here we are, and let me know which parts you think should be considered, and I'll highlight them. Line number 13.
Conservation is harsh.
Conservation is harsh. Now, how is this against volunteering to work with animals? See, you need to match the point that you're selecting with the theme of the summary,
Okay.
right? So conservation is harsh, it's unforgiving. So she's giving, right, talking about conservation, not volunteering, like actual conservation also. It doesn't really fit in, does it? Dua, Afin, anything from you guys? Line 20. We jumped all the way here, right? We skipped all of this. I need not tell you that you've probably missed a few points, but still. Okay. Eager volunteers can help them keep in business through exploiting people's passion for cute animals. Is that the line you're talking about? Okay. I do believe that is a valid point. Let me get my highlighter. Line 20. All right, what else do we have, guys? Like, do you want me to scroll to the next part? Right, right? If you're unable to locate anything over here, I could tell you there are 7 points before the one we just marked. Okay, so you got lines 5 and 8. Line 5. This part, the donated money could go to a great deal more. Is that the one you're talking about, Afin? Oh, sorry, Dua, line 5. Okay. And then Afin says line 8. So, which over here to like there? Obviously, heading off to one of these three. Is that what you're talking about, Afin? Line 9. There's nothing more dispiriting than people who think that they are helping. That part? Uh, I guess. Okay. Anything else?
Line number 14.
Line number 14. Saving individual animals should always come second to saving species, which in turn should come second to protecting and managing habitats. All of this?
Yeah.
Yes. That is obviously a valid point. Okay. Do you guys want me to move on? So far, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 points. Right? We're missing 4 others from this part of the text, just so you know. But
Line number 17.
17. Exterminating invasive species, that one?
Yes.
Uh, where did it go? 15, 16, 17. Okay, are you talking about successful conservation strategies involve exterminating invasive species? Are you talking about that part, or that unsurprisingly no conservation organization has ever presented the opportunity to potential volunteers? That part. Which part are you talking about?
The second one.
Okay, right. Okay, I guess I'll like if you guys have nothing else from this part, so you've got 5 points, you need 5 more points.
Line number 21.
21. Even among well-established sanctuaries, there are few which do anything to solve the root cause of the problem.
The reason that injured and homeless animals end up there in the first place. That part. Oh, that's on line number 22.
Yeah, I'd actually suggest this part.
Okay.
Right, so that is 21 and 22. By the way, yeah, guys. So, right, we move on to the next part of the text. So, what do you think should be included from here? Harams located one. There are 4 more points from this part of the text. Okay, lines 24 and 27. Line 24. Keeping any animal in captivity is expensive. So that part. So how does this tie in with arguments against volunteering to work with animals?
A lot of donation will be needed for this work now. So that's why it's against the
But
volunteering.
but then wouldn't that sort of tie in with the point that we have here?
Exactly. I was saying the same thing that we can combine both the points and then add it to our summary.
You could if you have words to spare. So I'm not highlighting that as a separate point. You could tie that in
Okay.
if you have words to spare.
Okay.
Okay. Then Afin suggested line 27. So over here. Are you talking about this part? I'm aware of the environmental impact of flying to a remote sanctuary. Right. So we have that. Right. And so how does that work as a valid point? Because right, this person, Rita Nee, I believe that's what her name is. Is it? Yes. Right. So she talks about wanting to, volunteer in this way as well, but she's aware of the environmental impact of going to like flying to a sanctuary, and so that's the reason she won't do it. And so all the volunteers who do go to help animals, other than the fact that it's all just uh, popular and looks good, it's glamorous. There's also so you're actually harming the environment and you're not actually helping the animals, so it's a lose-lose situation. Okay, what else do we have? 929. So this, unfortunately, it seems is the opposite of what sells volunteering opportunities to young people. What's this? Afin, what is the this that they're talking about in line 29? The real meaning of the conservation, right? So if we just take a look at this part, this paragraph, where reintroduction is a key aim, a hands-off approach from keepers and volunteers is required. This is the opposite of what sells. So the hands-off approach. So instead of saying this, because this is a preposition, sorry, not preposition, uh, pronoun, right? And so it's referring to something. Instead of saying this, we actually talk about the real thing. And so that would be this, right? Less contact or hands-off approach. Right. Haram, you say line 33. Any responsible sanctuary will be able to answer vital questions. Is that what you are referring to?
Yes.
Okay, how is that going against volunteering? They're just mentioning over here that this is something that a proper conservation should, the information that the proper conservation should be able to give you in response to your questions. What's your long-term plan and stuff? So I, I wouldn't say that's a valid point. Right? There are two valid points remaining, and you have right that bit of text left. So what can you pick out? Line 38, you say? Organizations recruit volunteers to work for such a short time. The short time part? Okay. So they're working for a very short time, and there's one point left that you could find. I mean,
Line 40.
no, actually, it's this isn't relevant.
Okay.
So something over here. Line 37. Educating volunteers rather than promoting cute and cuddly. Yeah. So organizations should be educating volunteers. Now we've got our 10 points, I believe. One, two, three, four, and five, six, seven, 8, 9, and 10. Right? So we have our 10 points, and all of these are valid points. We missed out on 3 from the mark scheme, and those are right. So I'll use a different highlighter color for this. Every time someone comes up to me after a talk and says they want to help conservation, so they're obviously heading off to this thing. So that's a point. Why is it a point? Because when people talk about conservation, they're talking about, right, just these 3 different options. And so that's not conservation as a whole, right? So that's one thing. And so you could either say that, or you could say that conservations are promoting the cute and cuddly, image, experience. And let's see, what else do we have? Who do we have? Bakir. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, Bakir. We are doing the summary. We're just all like done locating the points. Right. So this line over here, if you link it, there's nothing more dispiriting than people who think they're helping, but they really aren't. So if I'm looking at this correctly, actually we have found that now. Saving individual animals is not a priority. Saving species is more worthwhile. So this thing over here, right, is actually 2 points. So I'll remove that. Saving an individual is coming second to saving a species. Turn that blue. And right, so saving individual animals is not a priority. And what's even better is managing habitat. In fact, this is 3 points. So saving individual animals is not a priority. Saving the species is important, and protecting and managing habitat. Right? And this is right? Not something that is offered to volunteers, right? They're going for the glamour and the cute and cuddly and everything. So yes, some points over here. So we have our points. I'll share a screenshot of this on Google Classroom. So you have the summary to do. Obviously, use your own words and avoid copying log section or text and stay within the word limit. Now, that's done. Any questions regarding the summary or the content points?
No.
Okay. So let's move on to the short response. Imagine you are the conservationist returnee. Now, when they're asking you to imagine that, you need to also understand uh, their, you know, point of view, right? So, right, sorry. You are interviewed by a journalist about your work with animals. Give your answer to the journalist's question using information from the text. Some people think that sanctuaries like yours are irresponsible and exploit animals and volunteers. Right? What is your opinion and why? So, first of all, uh, what would your opinion be? Right? Given what you've read from the text, the sanctuary that she's running. So let's go to the part of the text where it talks about the sanctuary that she's running. Yeah. Rita Nee, who manages a sanctuary which runs captive breeding and reintroduction programs, the gold standard of working with animals. Given this, do you believe what would her opinion be? Is her sanctuary being irresponsible or not?
No.
Right? And everything else that follows later, right? So she talks about not doing the cute and cuddly thing. So she's doing the captive breeding and reintroduction program. She's not having volunteers come in for you know the cute experience. She's not going on those cute experiences herself, the hands-on approach and everything. I just gave you half the answer. Okay, so the first thing is establishing the opinion. So the opinion is that she believes that her sanctuary is in fact is responsible, right? The question is it's irresponsible and it's exploiting, and so she would say that that's not true, right? We are running our sanctuary very responsibly, and we are perhaps right. We don't even involve volunteers. We have a hands-off approach, in fact, right? We don't involve volunteers the way other conservations do. So that's the opinion. Now, you need 2 points from the text to support your answer, and for each point of text, you need to give an explanation. Would you like to find those points at least and maybe discuss how you would go about explaining them? Right, so there's the text. You have points from paragraphs. I mean, paragraph 2 onwards, let's say. Excuse me. All right, so if you locate a point for the short response, let me know, and then we can discuss it. So, I was taking a look at the what's given the mark scheme, and so some of the points may not be as obvious, and so you just need two. So go for what's obvious and what's easy to do, right? All points carry equal marks. There is no trick to this in the sense that there's a point which is going to get you double the marks. It doesn't work that way, right? So as I said earlier, go for the safe one. So have you been able to locate any points in the text that you're seeing on screen? Right, addressing root cause. Where is that exactly? Here. Okay. So, right, how does that support her defense of her sanctuary? And how would you elaborate on it?
Line number 17.
Just a sec. Dua, beta, if you're selecting this one, how would you develop this point to get your second mark, right? So you get 1 mark for selecting the example, right? Provided it's the correct example. So obviously, right, the marking scheme states that if you choose a different example, one that's not given the mark scheme, and it fits and you develop it properly, you can get your marks, right? So again, it's not, if it's not in the mark scheme, then it's wrong. So, right, uh, how would you make this one suit your response, your opinion that your sanctuary is being run responsibly? Okay, so whereas other sanctuaries aren't doing authentic work, right, which is addressing the root cause, what they're doing is uh, right, captive breeding and reintroduction. So right, what they're doing is what actual conservation work should be like. Okay, so that's 1 point and its development. uh, okay, Haram, which line did you point out?
Line number 17.
17. Right, so that's, no conservation has ever presented that opportunity, this one,
Yes.
or the most successful conservation strategies involve exterminating invasive species. Because see,
The first one.
the first one, right? So the most successful conservation strategies actually involve exterminating invasive species. Okay, so how are you going to fit that in with her opinion about being a responsible conservation?
That most conservation organizations don't actually give the chance to volunteers who are actually willing to help, while hers do.
Hmm, I think we can do better than that. So
Yes.
I think we can do better than that. So,
Yes.
right, s- some of the most successful conservation. So it's not the most, right? So as she mentioned, the gold standard is captive breeding and reintroduction, but conservation, some of the most successful conservation strategies involve exterminating invasive species, right? And so the question, right? So, right, you could develop that as saying that the popular conservations do not do this and they do not involve volunteers with this because it's unpopular. And so, right, for that reason, I mean, since volunteers aren't being involved, they aren't being exploited, and neither are the animals being exploited, right? So something along those lines. Sorry, I'm finding it a bit difficult to maintain my trail of thought at the moment, as I mentioned, right? And the fever's coming on a bit stronger. Acha, what else do we have? Right, being less direct with animals, right? And so that is being responsible, less human interaction, less human involvement, letting animals be animals. Anyone else with any suggestions? Right, so with the,
So line,
yeah,
with line 33 we counted.
line 33. Yes, right. So a responsible sanctuary should be able to answer this question. And so the interviewer is calling her irresponsible, right? And so the thing is that, right, she's saying that she's responsible, and so she does have long-term plans, right? Her sanctuary is captive breeding and release, and so the question: are your animals released into the wild? And yes, she's doing that, right? And so that that helps with, you know, supporting her opinion that she is running a responsible conservation. Right, Afin, what were you saying? Uh, Less direct, volunteers being less direct with animals, so it prioritizes what actually helps instead of giving volunteers false hope that they're helping by spending time with cute animals. Yes, right. So that works. Now I'll show you. In fact, yeah, no, I won't show you the mark scheme at the moment. Right? We'll do that if I remember. If I don't, remind me. We'll do that when I review your responses, right? So I'll post the summary on Google Classroom and you can, right, take a look at it. I mean, you can answer it tomorrow. We'll be doing directed writing. So we'll take a look at the text, we'll find the points, talk about a bit about evaluation. And so you'll have the composition, the summary, and the directed writing, all of those assigned to you. And as I mentioned, we'll come to that, like reviewing all of that next week. Okay, so if there's nothing else, that's the end of class. I'll see you guys tomorrow, inshallah.
Hello.
Allah Hafiz.